Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Marcus of the Rodent, and today we are going to be going over some freaking Subaru models, the coolest models that I could find. Here's the deal, I had to make this list myself, as a matter of fact, and so there's a good chance that, anyway, as I was saying, there's a good chance that some of these will be left out. There's a couple that are left out. So the ones that I went with, the cars that I decided are like cool Subarus in my personal opinion, we have the 22B STI, the 360, the Subaru 360 is a funny little car, the Baja, the Hawkeye Wrx, the Brat, the new BRZ, the old BRZ, the Bug-Eye WRX, the first gen Forester, the 2.5 RS GC8 Impreza, the Hawkeye WRX, the Legacy 2.5 turbo thing, the Legacy Wagon, the Legacy Wagon again. I don't know why I have two of those on there, but I got two of them. The Legacy GT, the Outback Wagon / Legacy, you can call it whatever. The Raptor IWRX, the Stink IWRX, and the Stink IWRX Hatch. Those are all like the quote-unquote cool Subarus in my opinion, and so I put them on this list. If I'm forgetting some, let me know in the comments. I'll tell you where they rank, but we have to hurry because there's a lot of cars today. So starting off strong with the 22B STI, it is obviously an S tier. The 22B STI, in case you don't know, is one of the most legendary rally cars to ever exist. They're super expensive, but they deserve to be expensive. They're super cool cars. It is an S tier car, hands down, all the way, every single day of the week. It is an S tier car. It is just so freaking cool. Okay, the 22B STI is an acquired taste. If you like WRXs, chances are you love the 22B STI. It's legendary. Next up is a Subaru 360 or 300, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to put it in an F tier. Here's the deal, guys. I know it's funny, but to me, funny doesn't make it cool. All right, like there's a lot of funny cars out there that I would not be seen driving. The smart car is one of them. Yeah, it's funny, man, but it's not an actual cool car. Like this Subaru 360 is a funny little car. Not my cup of tea, my boy. Next up is going to be the Subaru Baja. My dad actually had one of these, and they're actually pretty underrated cars, but still not very cool, like, at all, to be honest. I'm going to put it in a D tier. I think it's definitely not an F tier. It's not, like, one of the worst Subarus ever made, but I just don't think it's cool. This, in my opinion, too, this is the car that kind of started the whole, like, oh, we better make our fender arches a different color, which, obviously, with the new WRX is a big issue because it looks terrible, and I hate that. So, we gotta work on that. Subaru with the Baja, you should not have done that. Next is the Blah-Bye STI, easy S tier. Besides the 22B STI, the Blah-Bye STI is the best, dude, hands down. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. The Blah-Bye STI is just so cool looking. It is such a cool looking little car. Holy moly, smack me in the face and call me Broly. This thing is nuts. The 22B, or the WRX Blah-Bye is like the only WRX that I could actually see myself owning and be happy with. I love the Blah-Bye WRX. It's such a gorgeous little car. I think the headlights are perfect. Subaru Brat. Dude, the Subaru Brat is a B tier car all day, every day. It's like right there above average, but not cool enough to be like in the actual like S or A tier Subaru category. It is such a cool car though. Do not sleep on the Subaru Brat. This thing is freaking nuts. It's pretty much just like an off-road legend Subaru that didn't get its moment to shine. It's ridiculous. It's like a Baja but cooler. All right, it's a Baja but cooler. Next is the new gen BRZ. That's going to be another B tier. It's really cool, don't get me wrong, and they definitely improved from the last generation BRZ. It's just not I don't like the looks of it, man. I really hate the back end. I think the front looks pretty cool, looks pretty aggressive, I like it. The back end, I think they messed up horribly on. I have seen some modified ones, and they do look pretty good when modified, but a car should look good stock and modified, and this one just doesn't look that good stock to me. I've also seen them in person, and usually when I see like a new sports car in person, I'm always like, dude, there it is, it's right there. Whenever I see this car in person, I'm like, it's alright. It's just not anything special, really. The old BRZ, however, I think is an A tier. I don't think it's an S tier because it is very slow. Everybody knows that the old BRZ is a slow car. There's no hiding that fact. But I love the looks of them. I think they look amazing. They're also like a new gen Miata pretty much, and it's rear wheel drive. Okay, freaking Subaru barely makes rear wheel drive cars. They're always all wheel drive. The fact that this thing was rear wheel drive is super cool, so you got to give it credit for that too. And it's a coupe. It looks amazing. It looks great. It handles really well, but it's very underpowered. It's almost an S tier in my personal opinion, but I just can't put it in S tier since it's just so slow. Next is going to be the Bug-Eye. the Bug-Eye WRX STI. I'm gonna put that in a C tier. I think that's probably one of my least favorite WRXs. If not, it probably is my least favorite, to be honest with you. I think the Bug-Eye WRX is probably my least favorite WRX. I just don't like the looks of them, man. Like, yeah, they can grow on you once they're heavily modified, but stock, I don't see it. And for the price that they are, I mean, they're pretty much the same price as a Blob-Eye. You can pretty much buy a Blob-Eye for the same price as a Bug-Eye. I just don't see why you would buy a Bug-Eye. I don't like the Bug-Eye. I think the headlights on the Bug-Eye just are horrible. And obviously Subaru didn't like them either. That's why they changed them to the Blob-Eye really fast. Next is the first gen Forester. I'm gonna put it in a C tier. Here's the deal: the first gen Forester is incredibly cool. It is so cool to me, but everything else about it is not cool. Okay, I'll be 100% honest. The motor is horrible. It's the non-turbo motors, and the non-turbo Subi motors are the ones that have head gasket issues, and so you really can't build a lot of power on the motor that's in this car. It does have plenty of space, but it's all-wheel drive. It looks cool to me, but it's very slow. It doesn't handle great. It's not a great off-road vehicle. There's nothing really super special about the first-gen Forester. I just personally like it. So I would put it a little bit higher, but I know that people are going to get mad because in reality it's not higher deserving of a C tier. It is such a cool car. I love the first gen Force, and I kind of want one to drift because people have drifted these things before, but I don't know, just I can't put it any higher. Next is going to be the GC8. It's the 2.5 RS. I think that's a B tier car. I want to put it in A tier, but the problem with putting this car in A tier is I put the BRZ one step below because of how slow it is. The 2.5 RS is very slow. It really is. It's not a fast car, but that makes sense because it's the oldest Subaru the Impreza model, and so it makes sense that it's going to be the slowest one. And the looks of it are really cool. They got that like retro styling to it. But they're also really overpriced. The 2.5 RS is like $6 grand. It's like you could buy a Blob-Eye for less than a 2.5 RS. It doesn't make any sense. It's not even that good of a car. So it's really cool looking, and it has a lot of history behind it, but it's just not quick. Next is the Hawkeye Wrx. I'll put the... You know what a gentleman like myself is going to do? A gentleman like myself is going to put the Hawkeye in an A tier. Here's the deal. There is a lot, and I mean a lot of riced out, horrible, beat up Hawkeye Wrxs out there. But the ones that are good are really good. Like, they're very good. I hate the fact that my phone just decides to... It hasn't rang all day, but it decides to ring the second I start recording, so that's nice. But yeah, the Hawkeye Wrxs, the ones that are built up to be, like, actually look nice and the guy spent a lot of time on it, are really cool. And they completely overweigh the ones that are horrible and look terrible. Because a lot of people neglect the Hawkeyes for some reason. I don't really know why, but a lot of them are beat up all the time. Next is a car that's incredibly underrated, Legacy RS. This thing, everybody's all like, oh, the 22B SDI started Subaru's rally history. No, it didn't. This thing did. The Legacy RS started Subaru's rally history. It wasn't great. It wasn't like the best rally car out there, but it started it, all right? The Legacy RS is freaking sick, and for that alone, I'm going to put it in a B tier. Now, me personally, I don't like the looks of it. I don't think it looks that great, and obviously it's not one of the better performing cars on this list because it's very old, but it's nostalgic factor to it. It easily lands it in a B tier spot. It is such a cool car, man. This thing is so freaking cool. Like, don't play with me. This thing is cool. Next is the Legacy. This is the Legacy, I think it's a second generation Legacy. I'm not exactly sure, but it's the wagon. I'm gonna put that in a C tier. Here's the deal, guys. I know people are gonna be like, "No, Legacy GT is underrated." It is underrated. It definitely is. I'm not saying it's not underrated, but it's also not cool enough to be like any higher. You know what I mean? It's just like it's kind of like a WRX in a way, but a little bit heavier, a little bit worse performing. But it has a little bit more space. It's more practical than a WRX, but it's less fun than a WRX. So I can't really put it any higher. Also, I'm not a huge fan of the looks of them. I'm not gonna lie. Next is the other Legacy. For some reason I put 2 here, so I'm going to put that back also in C tier. And next is the Legacy GT. This I think is the 3rd gen. This is probably the most popular Legacy model out there for sure, and that makes sense because it's like the most sleeper-esque model. I'm going to put that one in a B tier. I think this one deserves a B tier. It is a little bit cooler. It is a tad bit cooler than the other Legacies. As a matter of fact, though, I'm going to put this one in a C tier, though. I'm actually going to drop it down a spot to the C tier because I don't think that it has like the sedan version of this. I don't think the looks are as cool as like a wagon slammed on the ground. Like a sedan Legacy GT is cool, but when you slam a freaking wagon on the ground, there's something about that that's like, okay, that's pretty baller. Next is going to be the Outback, the Subaru Outback. I'm gonna put this in a D tier. Okay, hear me out, guys. Hear me out. The Outback wagon is also pretty much the same thing as the Legacy wagon, and it just does not do it for me personally. It doesn't. Subaru has this like weird thing where they have like their fender arches like go really far out on some of their newer models, and whenever they do that, I almost always hate it. And this one has that. It's the same thing with the Baja. How they have like when this thing's stock, you ever see like a stock one of these Outbacks, it looks just not good. Not good in my mind. And yeah, you could be like, oh, well, you can modify it, but it's just like, why would you dump that amount of money into an Outback? I can't see myself doing that. I just don't personally like it. Next is the Raptor Wrx, which is the newest one besides the like very new one that I forgot to put on here. And so we're gonna put the Raptor I. We're going to put the Raptor I in a B tier, a solid B tier. Here's the deal. Obviously, this car is the best out of all the WRXs. Probably the best out of all the cars on this list in terms of performance. My problem with it is I'm burnt out on it. I've seen it literally everywhere. Everybody in the world has a freaking Raptor I WRX. I see them everywhere I go. And at this point, they're not even special to me anymore, and I just don't like them. It's just, I just can't see myself buying one because I see them everywhere, man. Like, for somebody that doesn't live in the Northeast, you probably don't see these that often, so maybe they're cooler to you. But to me, everyone drives them because we have winter up here. Next is the Stink Eye WRX Sedan. I'm going to put the Stink Eye WRX Sedan in an A tier. I think it's easily the most underrated freaking WRX out there. People, like, hate this WRX for no reason. I think I'm going to say something that's going to blow your guys' mind. I think it looks better than the hatch version of this car. The hatch at Stink Eye, I think the sedan Stink Eye is cooler. It's so less like known, less people modify it. Eric Buda has one, and that thing is so cool. He turned it into a drift rig. I love the freaking Stink Eye WRX. I think it's such a cool car. I don't understand why people don't like the sedan Stink Eyes anymore. So it's such an underrated car. I think it's easily an A tier WRX all day, every day. Next, though, is the WRX hatch, the Stink Eye hatch. This is still going to be an A tier, okay? It's still really cool. It's still easily one of my favorite WRXs of all time. Subarus in general of all time is definitely the Stink Eye hatch. But I do want to say that I do like the Stink Eye sedan better than I like the Stink Eye hatch. So if this like A tier was in order of like my favorite to least favorite, the BRZ would probably be first, and then it would probably be like this. I like the Stink Eye next, and then the Hawkeye, and then the hatch. I think the hatch is still really cool, and obviously it still has the same in terms of performance as the sedan because it's pretty much the exact same car but with a bigger butt. But I just don't like it as much as I like the sedan. I think the sedan just looks so much cooler. I don't know why. But yeah, that's the list, guys. There is two cars I want to start. I want to say really quick before we leave and where I would put them. First up is the Crosstrek. The Crosstrek is very popular. A lot of people do like it. I don't know enough about them to be like, oh yeah, this is a good car or a bad car. But based off looks alone, I'm going to put it in an F tier. I think the Crosstrek is one of the ugliest models Subaru has ever made. I know it's a hot take and a lot of people aren't going to agree with me on that. I don't like it at all. I think it looks horrible. I think the wheels on it are horrible. And once again, they did the whole fender thing that Subaru does where the fenders are like sticking out and they look weird. And I hate that. I don't think it's a good car at all, in my opinion. And finally is the new WRX. I forgot to put that in here. I don't know why. The new WRX is also going to be an F tier though. I think it's just the ugliest WRX of all time. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I don't like the looks of the new WRX. Is the performance better? Obviously, it's a new generation. It better be better, but it's not like better enough to the point where you're like, wow, it's worth the horrible looks that you have with this car. It's just not worth it to me. They did, once again, the terrible design where they put the fenders, make them like stick out and have like these weird plastic arches on them. And I just hate that with Subaru. Why do they do that? I don't understand. It looks horrible. Every time they do that with any of their models, it looks horrible. And just, once again, they did it with the WRX. In my opinion, they ruined the WRX with that car. I think the Raptor I was a great looking car, a beautiful looking car. I don't like them anymore because I've seen them so much, but it's still a cool car. The new WRX though, it's not good. The taillights look horrible. The headlights, I'll give it that. I'll give it the front end of the new WRX does look pretty aggressive and pretty mean. And I do like the front end. Everything else about it though, I don't like at all. There's no saving it for me. I saw Aerodynamics or something like that is making a building up one, and it does look cool because they changed all the things from factory that they messed up on it, but they shouldn't have messed up in the first place, so I can't put it any higher than an F tier. I like the Outback better than it. I like the Baja better than it, so I'm putting it in an F tier. Sorry. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to like, comment, another tier list that you guys would like to see down below. I'll do different brands and stuff like that, and do like sports cars and cool cars from those brands. I'll have to do it a little bit better, though, because this time I definitely forgot a couple. Like I said, the Crosstrek and the new WRX. Oh, and the second-gen Forester, too. I forgot the second-gen Forester. But, yeah, I'll have to put more time into it and figure out, like, do way more research on, like, the actual cool cars from these brands, so I don't forget any for the next time. But let me know what other brand you'd like to see in a tier list. And with all that out of the way, guys, thank you so much for watching. I love you guys. Das Vidania. Have a nice night.